I'm joined now by Holman Jenkins, who is at home, and Holman is going to chat with us a little bit about Wal-Mart's adventures in Mexico. How you doing, Holman?
Hi, Dan.
I guess the issue here is whether the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act has caught Wal-Mart bribing Mexicans, which by definition would mean corrupt Mexicans. But it seems to me this is also about something else with a lot less elevated title than the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and that is pay to play. And I think most of our viewers know what that means. So put the Wal-Mart's problems in Mexico a little bit in broader context for us.
Well, I mean, you could find this anywhere. There's different kinds of corruption and different kinds of bribery. There's a legal kind and an illegal kind. It's interesting that the Mexicans have shown no interest in prosecuting any of this. It's their officials who are committing the shakedown, but they apparently don't think it's a big deal. Wal-Mart does have big exposure under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which since the 70s has made it illegal for U.S. companies to bribe foreign officials. There is no wiggle room there as far as I can see for them. So if this was in fact bribery, they have a big exposure.
Mm-hmm. What was Wal-Mart trying to achieve with whatever was going on down there? I mean, by most accounts, Wal-Mart's presence in Mexico has been a plus for the Mexicans, but first they had to get there, right?
It's been a huge plus. Well, the Journal did a marvelous story in 2007 that detailed all the way that Wal-Mart had transformed the retail sector in Mexico, much to the advantage of Mexicans who had a better selection of goods at much better prices than they were getting from the local oligarchs. Wal-Mart actually had been in Mexico for a full decade as sort of a minority partner of various Mexican retailers, so it picked up maybe some of the practices that way. But if you want to get something done in Mexico, like build a big new store, you can apply for the permit the usual way and wait and wait and wait, and you'll be told that you probably won't get it unless you can find a way to expedite it, which means you hire a local fixer who then spreads the money around the appropriate people. And this is what Wal-Mart is accused of doing.
Well, let's not single out Mexico. As you interestingly and almost amusingly made clear in your column, there are actually economists who study the issue of corruption in terms of whether it incorporates economic efficiency into transactions in the developed world.
If you have to get something done and the only way to do it is to bribe somebody, then you can say, yes, the bribery has a positive, efficiency result. It's not the ideal thing. It's better to have straight shooting government officials who act expeditiously on matters, but that's not what you have in most of the world. Most countries can't afford to pay their bureaucrats anything, and so they supplement their official salaries by taking bribes. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is in most of the world.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about podunk countries. I mean, a lot of our big industries are trying to establish themselves in places like China, India, and Russia. I don't think anyone deludes themselves into thinking that's a straightforward transaction.
No, and the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act was passed in the 70s because of bribing of officials in Italy and West Germany and places like that, Japan, supposedly advanced countries where you're not supposed to see this stuff. But in fact, you see it in the United States too. Let's not pretend otherwise.
Yeah, well, we have a little time left. Let's talk about an interesting story in the news today that is taking place in the supposed advanced economy of New York City. Seems like an Australian company has got itself caught in a problem here.
Big Australian construction firm got caught basically succumbing to a union shakedown in New York. It surprises nobody to discover that there's corruption in the New York City construction industry. And so this company for the last 10 years has been paying for no-show jobs and all the things that you saw on The Sopranos that have gone on and will go on forever, at least until somebody cracks down on the New York labor unions.
And a federal attorney has brought a lawsuit against them.
Oh yeah, they've settled the case. It's interesting, they didn't charge any of the union people who were accepting these shakedowns, but the Justice Department says all this goes back at least until the 1990s. Well, at the time, the Justice Department was running the union in charge, having taken it over from the Gambino family in one of the, those famous mafia situations where the Justice Department basically had to take control of a labor union to rid it of racketeer influence.
Yeah. All right, Holman.
All this began under the Justice Department's watch of this union, which is a curious highlight.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is one we're going to have to keep an eye on. Thanks so much.